Are you suffering from pain in your back that affects you when you're standing still? If you are, then this video is going to give you one simple trick to help relieve the problem. Hi everyone, my name is Harlow and I'm the Over-50s specialist physio here at HT Physio in Farnham. And today I'm going to show you how to relieve the symptoms of back pain when standing still. Now, before we dive into the topic of today's video, please remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You can also leave us a comment below if you like this video or if you have any ideas for future videos as well. I'd love to hear from you. Now that that's out of the way, let's talk about what causes back pain when standing and what you need to do to relieve it. Now, many of the clients I serve, these are people who are pretty much exclusively over the age of 50. They find that their back pain is not too bad when they're sitting or when they're walking, but when they stand still, the pain gets worse. And this is a really common symptom, and it often starts and affects them in things like standing in a queue at the supermarket or at a bank, or especially true for many of my patients who like to cook and do things in the kitchen. When they're standing at the kitchen counter, if they're chopping vegetables or preparing a meal, that back pain can just get worse and worse and worse. So if that's what you've been suffering with, I'm going to show you what you need to do to relieve it. Now, before we do that, I'm going to show you why someone might get this pain. So if this is the human spine here, obviously we have 24 vertebrae which are all stacked up like this, one on top of the other. And in between them, we've got the spinal discs as well. So the spinal discs keep the vertebra apart. And in someone with a young spine, the discs are plump, they're filled with fluid, which basically makes these gaps here that the nerves come out of bigger. Now, when we are older, when we grow older, we lose some of the fluid inside the discs, which means that the disc space gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And when you're standing for long periods of time, just because of the effects of gravity, the spine very slowly compresses. So we start to get the bones moving a little bit closer together, and that decreases the space that these nerves have, okay? Now, for most people, this process goes unnoticed, but if you already have a bit of wear and tear in the spine, that can lead to some pain in the back, which tends to be worse when standing still. Now, for most people with this problem, the pain tends to be focused over to one side. It might be on the right and it might be on the left. And this technique I'm going to show you helps to relieve pain, especially if it's focused on one side. So the first thing you need to do is identify which side of your back the pain tends to be worse. And then we're going to implement this position that I'm going to show you, which can help to relieve it. Let's have a look at the position now. If you have pain when standing at a kitchen counter or standing around at home trying to do something and you feel that back pain getting worse, chances are there's too much pressure going through one part of the spine. So I'm going to show you one way to relieve that. Now, for this position, what you're going to need is a small step, something like this, okay? If you don't have this, you can use a very thick book, like an encyclopedia. That would also work as well. And what we're going to basically do is we're going to use the step to make you transfer your weight off of one side of the spine. Now, I'm going to show you how this works. So we're just going to pretend that my worktop is back here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the step, and we'll say that the pain is on my right side of the spine. I'm going to put the step roughly where my right leg is going to be. So if my right leg is going to be about here, I'm going to turn this way. So the worktop is here. And if I normally stand like this and my back pain starts here, instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift my right leg up and I'm going to rest my right foot on the step. Then I'm going to get back to doing what I'm doing and I'm going to see if that improves matters. Now, what we usually find is that if you are standing with one foot up on a step and the other foot on the floor, okay, we're going to suddenly go from having 50-50 weight between the right and the left foot to having about 70% on the foot that's on the floor and 30% on the step. So you'll still have perfect stability, but most of the weight is now going through the opposite side leg, which means it's going through the opposite side of the spine. This means it's going to take pressure off the painful side of the spine and should improve your pain. Now, if you have pain obviously on the left hand side, what you would do is you would swap over and you'd put your foot on the left, or your left foot on the step, which would look something like this. You'd have one foot up like this, just resting, and then you can get back to doing whatever you want to do. This even works for things like standing desks as well, where you need to type. And what you would do is you would keep your foot on the step for as long as you need to and just see how it feels in your spine. Now, if you have pain in the center of the spine and it doesn't tend to focus on one side, but you want to try this out, what I'd recommend you do is you spend with 5 minutes standing with your right foot on the step and then 5 minutes standing with your left foot on the step and see how that works. So that's the simple trick you can use at home to relieve some of the pain in your back when standing. Give it a try at home. It only takes a couple of pounds to go and find a step. We got one from the Robert Dias opposite the clinic for about £5. So if you can't find one of those at home, the alternative is to use a couple of books that you can rest your foot on. That can work just as well. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you like the content that you're getting from me, then please feel free to pick up a copy of my book, which has tons more tips, tricks, strategies, anything you need to stay fit and able in your 50s and beyond. You can find it using the link below this video. And that's all I have for you today. I really appreciate your time and thank you for watching, and look forward to speaking to you on the next video.